Look at that Monopoly board. This is how 99% of people play the game of life. They roll the dice, they go to work, they pass go, they collect their 200 paycheck, and immediately, bam, you land on someone else's property. They pay the rent, taxes, groceries, and they just bleed cash. You've probably seen it on shows like Financial Audit with Caleb Hammer, and then they do it again and again. As they're trading their time for dollars, they're losing the game. That's one of the things I recommend to the audience here as the passive income player. You cannot trade your time for money. Who am I? The passive income player? I'm an AI educator, business consultant, and a software engineer. Over my career, I've built high-level systems for CEOs, doctors, judges, Goldman Sachs traders. And let me tell you, the one massive difference between the people at the top and everyone else, the people at the top do not work for money. They build systems that print money. They own assets. This channel, for one thing, it's an asset for my company. At my company, we basically reach things like Dan Martell and Dave Ramsey, spend less than you make and get assets, buy back your time. And that's mostly the main thing that this channel is about, buying back your time. It's about taking the leverage of artificial intelligence and using it to transition yourself into a better place in life. Transition yourself from consumer to creator, from employee to owner. The laborers and consumers just go past, go, and don't suspect anything is happening. The owners own assets like a monopoly. Speaking of using AI to create assets, one of the main reasons I decided to make this channel was to mostly talk about how I see AI is changing the job landscape. It's changing the need to work the basic 9 to 5 in 50-hour work weeks where you're feeling behind and overwhelmed and underappreciated. Now, AI is giving more power to operators, investors, and business owners. And that's who this channel is for. Explaining to people how they can become operators, investors, and business owners through the creation of assets with the help of AI. Here's something you've probably seen on Financial Audit. Most people struggling with their bills, don't know what to do. And on Caleb Hammer's show, it's preached as a spending problem. I see it as a spending problem along with an income problem. One of the things people always question is how can they increase their income? But then there's the addition of going to school, getting more skills, doing more tasks, and that's not really viable for the average person. But now AI can help the average person get assets, whether that be art, content, music, online stores, digital products, stocks, private equity, whatever it is, AI can probably help in the acquisition and assessment of that. And that's just so fascinating to me. Another reason I'm also making this channel is because constantly watching shows like Financial Audit and personalities like Caleb Hammer, I've decided to make content that I would want to watch, content that I think people want to see, and content I wish someone made for me when I was at my job, not really knowing how bills and ends were going to get made. And I really only saw how the world worked when I started like working and learning under investors, bankers, judges, traders, doctors. It was shocking that they weren't really getting rich from trading their time. They were creating assets or either buying assets. The doctors I knew who had a bunch of school debt, yes, they were making money from surgeries, but they were also acquiring real estate. They were acquiring stocks. They were videotaping some of these surgeries so that they could show them to new residents, and that would be a good way of training. And it's just so amazing how, yes, doctors and traders and other people can make assets, but now even the average person, like what I see, like personalities like Dan Martell say, along like with Caleb Hammer, anyone can now make content or art or music or some kind of online business. But the main thing what I see people lack is now that the barrier of entry is lower, it's more just what kind of strategy are people applying to things. And it makes sense why a lot of people really don't have a strategy for how they're doing things. If you look around, AI is destroying the old model of work. If your only value to the marketplace is manual data entry and writing basic code, then you're constantly doing repetitive tasks at your job and becoming a depreciating liability. But if you understand leverage, AI is the greatest wealth transfer vehicle in human history. In the past, if you wanted to build an asset, say a piece of software or a media company, you needed massive capital. You needed to hire developers, designers, a marketing team. You had to risk everything. Today, AI is your development team. AI is your marketing department. AI is your creative director. The cost of creation has plummeted to almost zero. The only thing separating you from owning the cash flowing assets is the willingness to sit down, learn the systems, and build the machine. On this channel, I'm going to focus on 5 basic assets, which are going to be around art and media, which, if people don't know, this channel is going to become a company asset soon. I'm going to use this to market and explain to employees or investors or anyone how they can make assets. And it'll be great and valuable information that I can keep for a long time that people will find useful. Music. Obviously, everybody knows like the greats like Michael Jackson, how music can reach people all around the world and so many feelings. I don't really do music myself, but I'll talk around the form of like media and art in like content creation form, focusing mostly on like making content. Basically, today there's so many apps that can help someone create, edit, and market their content where they don't need like employees. Next, I'll be talking about software as a service, which is basically taking apps like Cursor or maybe Claude Code and designing software with them. If you look at shows like Caleb Hammer, he uses similar principles to this with making content and making an app, and that can be huge income producing assets. And even Alex Hormozy talks about the online business model. Both of these things are able to reach a vast majority of people and hit the right audience. This is also seen as the gold standard for business. It's the holy grail of cash flow. In the past, you needed a senior developer to build a SaaS company. Not anymore. I'm a software engineer, and I can tell you tools like Claude and ChatGPT have changed the name of the game completely. You don't need to build the next Facebook. You just need to find a local business, a plumber, a real estate agent, a dentist, someone who is doing something manually, and you can use AI to build a simple no code or low code web app or iPhone app, and then charge them to fix their pain point and automate the task. And people will pay for things like that. You don't need to make the next Netflix or anything crazy. You just need to know where is your audience, what is your skill and your understanding. Then there's another kind of asset we'll talk about on this channel. It's the fourth asset, online businesses like Shopify. In my time and in my company, we use AI to identify market gaps and generate product designs and write the copy and build the Shopify store or the Gumroad store or the electronic marketplace. But we don't stop there. You can now use AI to handle customer service, manage inventory alerts, run emailing and marketing sequences with barely running the store. One of the things I noticed creators like Alex Hormozy talking about is the scalability of AI with online shopping stores. Today, someone who's a talented hairdresser who can maybe do highlights and hair dyeing can now take their hair dyeing skills and make a class. If someone wanted to learn how to dye their hair like a mix of gold and red, I don't know if that looks good or not, but now someone can just set up a video and make like a group like Zoom call and show with a dummy wig or something like that and show how would you actually dye the hair, and people would probably pay for that, or if you're like a CEO or a trader, what something I've seen people to start do is take all their prompts, put it into like a prompt library, and then basically either turn that into a PDF or a template or some kind of ebook and sell it. And not only have I seen CEOs and traders do it, I've seen people buy it. CEOs, doctors, lawyers, people who have been trying to get AI native have been buying digital products. And now we're coming on to the fifth asset, which I find which is really cool, which is private equity in businesses along with stocks. All these things revolve around ownership. People own stocks, businesses, and private businesses. This is what someone would call the end game. Once you have music like royalties and a content audience and a SaaS with a reoccurring revenue and an online business with cash flow, what do you do with the money? You don't upgrade your lifestyle. You don't buy a liability. You buy the board. You take the cash flow from the active asset systems and you park it in the stock market. There's things like the S&P 500. There's single stocks, and some of these pay dividends. There's index funds, and they let you broaden your economic exposure passively. And that's basically how the game of Monopoly is played. You basically just own things. And in this channel, we talk about the secret of owning things. What's the nature of these assets? How would you get one with no money down or with money down? Is it always best to go with the free option? If that's something you're interested in, check out more videos on the channel.